Hi, I am an artist, you are an artist, and we are broke. So here's some free art resources for us all. So first, we are going to begin with something I would call general reference websites. They are like the first choice you would use to find references, inspirations, and all that kind of stuff. And for a very long time, my primary choice has been Pinterest. But recently, because my experiences on there had not been very good, so I, and truthfully many others, had been trying to find some alternatives. And I have found one, which is a stock photo site called Pexels. And I have started to use this one alongside with Pinterest for this kind of use for quite some time now. And I did make one video specifically discussing this topic, including a detailed comparison of the two sites, so you can check it out here. And for anybody who hasn't watched that video yet, which I highly doubt there is anybody, but the gist from that video is that I have been having a really good time on Pexels, and I have started to spend less and less time on Pinterest. And also from that video, I got a lot of suggestions for different reference sites, and I have checked out a few, well, precisely two of them, which are Unsplash and Cosmos. Before we talk about those two, let me preface that this is not really a detailed review, but rather my first impression of some sort, as I haven't spent that much time on these sites yet. Let's talk about Unsplash first. So this is a stock photo site, so it is similar to Pexels. And I will say the quality of the photos is rather good, because from the short time I spent there, I have accumulated quite some pretty and inspiring photos. And here's some of them. And another thing is that there are some official museum accounts on there too, which is something I found quite interesting because I have mostly seen indie photographers or studios on Pexels. So I have had quite a good time looking at some really beautiful textile scans on Unsplash. And to be honest, I'm kinda looking forward to sitting down and digging around for some little treasures on this site. Next, let's talk about Cosmos. And I think this is by far the most recommended by people when it comes to Pinterest alternatives. And I can totally see why, because they are truly similar, like in the sense that it is also a hub that collects lots and lots of photos from almost like anywhere on the internet, and yes, including Pinterest. And after seeing the similarity between the two, I started to wonder about my own problems on Pinterest, which are AIAs, from the previous video. And for the art, from my short time spent there, I didn't really see any art at all. And about the Gen AI images, honestly and personally, I don't know. Because as I already said, I didn't really spend much time there, so I really haven't seen anything really obvious yet. And here's a question for anybody who has used Cosmos for a long time. Is the Gen AI images situation really bad there? Do you guys have any way to get around this kind of stuff? Anyway, my conclusion for this session is that all of the names mentioned here are good options for general reference finding purposes. And what's better is that all of them are free. Well, some do have a paid version as well, but for our purposes, the free version is good enough. And I think whatever your choice is, you will always benefit the most when you spend a good chunk of your time there, like accumulating your own library of reference photos. So choose the one that you are the most comfortable with, and maybe consider the others as a backup when you need something fresh. Next, let's talk about some websites for 3D references. The first one is pixelsquid, which is a new discovery of mine when browsing the internet. So this one has 3D models for lots and lots of different stuff. You name it, they probably have it. Personally, I find this one shines the most when it comes to complicated objects. Like imagine at the time I painted a grand piano, I had known about this site, so I didn't have to spend hours and hours on Pinterest trying to find one piano at a somewhat right angle. Yeah, and also I have seen people use this for shoes or violins and all that kind of stuff. So the way you use this thing is that first you find the thing that you want, and then rotate it to the angle that you need. And then they have an option to download it as a PNG file with watermark, by the way, because, you know, have I mentioned it yet? It's free. But since we only use them as references, you know, just screenshot the thing and you're good to go. Next, let's talk about a classic in terms of 3D reference for poses, Posemaniac. I literally have been using this one for years. It is essentially a catalog of pre-made poses in 3D, and there are a lot of them. You can click on the search tab and select the set of the models or different tags to find what you want. And once you find the desired pose, you can do quite a lot of things with them. You know, some basic ones including zooming in, zooming out, rotating, mirroring things, and some more advanced things include playing around with what is shown on the screen with the eye icon here. Like one thing I like to see is the floor grid. Like I find it really helpful with visualizing things in my brain. And you can also play around with lighting setups like this. Not only do they have a lot of different poses, they do have some other functions as well. For example, like the hand 3D models or 30-second drawing session with random poses. So this website truly has a lot to offer for a free website. Did I mention that yet? Like they even have something to do with Clip Studio Paint, like importing poses or something. But I don't use that app, so I don't fully know how that one works. But well, it is available. So basically, Posemaniac is something for people who don't want to mess around with 3D models. But there is another option for people who do want to and have enough patience and need a really accurate and specific poses, which is excalidraw. So what you can do on Posemaniac, you can do all of them here with a much higher level of customization and also many more. Like you can customize everything from the model, like you can manipulate the model into all sorts of different body types and proportions, to the poses and to the lighting setup. Like you can adjust literally every single thing on the model, like down to the finger and the toe joint. Like, are you overwhelmed yet? Don't worry, me the same. Like the very first time I used this program, I spent like over 1 hour just messing around with the shape of the model. As you can see, the barrier of entry for this one is rather high, and I don't think it is the ideal solution for everyone and in every kind of situation. Like you need to be really patient when working with the model, and because of the body proportion manipulation stuff, I think you can benefit a lot more from this program if you are someone who prefers to work in a more stylized proportions. And personally, I only resort to this when I want a really specific pose in my head and I couldn't find it anywhere else. So for this one, there is a free and a paid version available. And the biggest difference is that you couldn't save and open the excalidraw file with the free version. So something pretty important, but for how powerful this tool is, I think it still can be quite beneficial with the free version only. And here's a workaround, or rather some tips for that. So because we couldn't save the model, so try to do the list with it. Like personally, I just set everything back to 0, except for the head. And then I do everything you need to do with the model like usual. And once you are pleased with the result, make a screenshot of multiple of them with some slightly different angles just for safety reasons. And I think you're good to go. Next are some reference sites for nerds. Well, no, for people who aim for accuracy of the information. Like really big emphasis on aim, not on accuracy, because it's the intention that counts, not the actual result. So the first one is inaturalist. And this is a wonderful website for anything, as the name suggests, nature related. I used to use this one a lot for my mushroom stuff. Like for anybody who doesn't know, in the past I did take on a challenge of painting mushroom for 100 days straight. And I will be using this site a lot more in the future when I come back to painting mushroom. I never give up on that. Technically, this one is not made for artists. It's made for biologists who will help each other identify the species they discover But you know, artists can benefit a lot from that. And there are a lot more than just mushrooms, you know. It's just that I mainly use it for mushroom, but it's definitely have a lot more than that. So this site is extra valuable if you are a nerd. Well, no, somebody who cares about and writes down the exact name of every single type of mushroom that they paint. Yes. And while we are at it, let's talk about wiki commons. So wiki commons, part of Wikipedia, and it's where people post photos. So there's really no need for more introduction here. It is another excellent website for researching, you know, not only nature-related things, even though I use it a lot for, you know, mushrooms-related research, but also some other stuff as well, like, you know, how you make lace. And even though I did some research, I still didn't get it right, but it is a story for another day, so let's move on. Next is a very useful website for practicing, and it's called quickpose. And as the name suggests, this is a website made for practicing drawing poses either with a timer, like 30 seconds or 60 seconds per pose, or no timer at all, like for when you just want to practice some random poses. And not only do they have reference for poses, they also have reference for hands, for faces, for landscape or animals. And by far what I use the most is hand practicing with no timer, because I do bad under pressure, you know, especially time pressure. But so yeah, a really simple but effective website for artists. So after you are done finding all the reference photos you want, you need somewhere to organize them. And the answer is a mood board. My only criteria for a good mood board is a big blank surface for me to put whatever photos I find on there to organize. So no limitation to the amount of board that I can create or the amount of photos I can put on there. Since the need is basic, the possibilities are essentially endless. Like heck, if you're on Windows, you can use Microsoft Whiteboard on your PC, like, which is fine but rather unreliable because I couldn't access some of my old boards after I made quite a few of them. Or, you know, you can even use Canva, like they have a whiteboard function too, and I don't think there is any limitation there either. But personally, I think you guys deserve more than Microsoft Whiteboard and Canva, so here are two more options. The first one is draw.io. So this one is available both online and offline, and I use the offline desktop version. So it's literally a big blank surface for me to put anything and everything I need on there. Like you can freehand, you can do some basic editings with the photos inside the program, so it's quite convenient. And personally, I don't use the diagrams and stuff a lot, but they are there and there are lots of them, so I think it's great. Anyway, I use this one for a lot of different projects, including the mermaids or the Halloween cast from last year, and quite a lot of future projects too. Next is a new discovery I made recently, excalidraw. It is available online but allows you to save the board locally, like on your device. So this one can do everything the previous one can do, but in a cuter way. Like everything on there, you know, from the diagrams to the font to the freehand brushes, they all have a really nice touch of handwriting as aesthetic, like a really nice wiggliness to them. And you can also customize that too. So literally the choice is yours, simplicity or cuteness, you know, choose whatever you like. And also another thing is that you can share your board with others or with both of these because they are available online. So if you have friends, you know, unlike a certain somebody here, you guys can invite them to collaborate on some kind of project, or, you know, doing something else that people with friends do. I'm not the most familiar with that kind of stuff, so yeah. So this one has been quite a lot, both in terms of video length and information, but trust me, I barely scratched the surface because I mainly do art on PC and I mostly focus on the resources for the preparation step, but not the actual painting step itself, and also not the post-painting part in case that you guys want to post, you know, the time-lapse video somewhere. So if you paint more on the phones, or if you have any other recommendations that you would love to share, please let us know in the comment section. Things are hard right now, especially financially, so if we can do anything for free, then we should do it for free. So yeah, that's the video. Hope this one could be helpful for at least one of you watching right now, and thanks for watching and see you later.